Okay. Big healing heil to you. Peace, love, and healing. And we are coming to you August 15th. From the one and only Saint Lushiva Alleluia. And remember, remember, remember. Recover and return. And I'm always like, where's the lighter? Let me light this. And Maria, who's sitting here with us right now, she always tells me, just turn it on and let the let our brothers and sisters, participate in our reality. You know, there is no reach out. There's nothing there. We guarantee it. At least my personal experience do. I guess I shouldn't say guarantee it. As far as I know, Maria, sitting right behind me, said, "That's better. That's better, JoJo. Let's not guarantee things. Let's just say as far as we know." And my niggas, I am coming to you under Allah's magic scarf. And I seen Mr. Hassan the other day, yesterday, I guess it was. The the man, you know, I don't blame people for being impressed by the supernatural, but let me give you a little something. You're supernatural. Be and I'm not. It's almost like raining on people's parades and stuff like that. This, the quote supernatural is what makes our life worth living. I mean, it's the spark that keeps us going. But it is also, of course, it is also one of the best ways to deceive someone. Um, I just, I know people who are like, yeah, nothing supernatural's ever happened in my life. And I see a bit of, doubt in their eyes, whether I'm actually telling the truth or not. But I didn't know I was someone before I was born here. And I certainly didn't know that it could bleed through the technology. And somewhere along the line, I became convinced that you do not make decisions like everyone else does. And this was, back when I was 21 years old or something. It was dumb and naive, but it was almost, an incoherent method. Um, but it had the last remaining elements of the coming of age true self. I can only, truly speak for myself, but I feel even like my comrade from the that died, that he is helping me in this. That I can only speak for myself, but I know if everyone will relax, remember, recover, return, relax, that there's a real teaching here for most people. Let's say it that way. The last glimmers, okay, of the true self. It's like the whole reason why we identify with the dying and resurrecting gods, not just Jesus. Jesus being the most confusing, worst one with a terrible message. The other ones totally have different messages. I mean, look, they had to come up with something that incorporated the whole world. So they had to sell the whole world that everyone's a sinner. The minute you say that every single person is anything, is the minute we cats look at each other and go, fuck you, fuck off, get out of here. Doesn't even make sense. In basic life, there's exceptions to everything. To every goddamn thing under the fucking sun, there are exceptions. So don't try to get me to, hey, check this out. What's your definition of similar? Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Well, check this out. I don't know for a fact that every single person is that. I don't think it's possible to know for a fact. Well, God knows. Well, if you're going to appeal to an authority that will not show its power, will not show itself, will not proclaim its existence, and it just keeps coming to my mind the lyrics from Ian Curtis of Joy Division. This is what in the everyday life dispels God, because underneath the coping to survive and make a living and have a nice house and car and send your kids to college, blah, 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 is this existence. What does it matter? I exist on the best terms I can. The past is now part of my future, and the present is well out of hand. The present is well out of hand. Heart and soul, one will burn. Heart and soul, one will burn. Um, yeah. Existence. What does it matter? Meaningless. Everything is meaningless. A chasing, a futile chasing, a useless chasing after the wind. Water, air, earth, and fire. By the power of the water, air, earth, and fire, we enlighten you with vril, which should make a love vibration spread through the land when we all start hoping that our neighbors turn away from this foreign god this god of blood magic, this death cult god. And don't tell me about the good things he said. I don't care about what Luke Skywalker said. Because there's a real reason why no one on the internet can give you a decent reason why we're in a simulation. And there is nothing credible of a source of information about Maria. There is literally no information on Maria Orsic. And she's sitting here with me right now and she is saying, I wrote over 2,000 newsletters, sometimes twice a month. And I did many radio interviews. I did one television interview. I was written about in the Austrian newspapers and the German newspapers. And in general, I was known. There was, always the rumors that I was fucking Hitler. But the real truth was, I was married to the man who was switching bodies with Hitler. Can you understand that? And on Earth, I never had sex with a man, period, ever. And after the mission was completed, I married my second best friend in all the worlds, Adolf Hitler, in a Aldebaran, God's sanctioned magic marriage. And a few days later, I married Ava Hitler, as I would call her, in a Aldebaran magic marriage. And the initiation was on. And it was going to take place in my mind. The initiation of Goddess. And I know it sounds like internet live player game goddess. I'm a goddess. Because the brilliance of your enemy took all the joy of words and numbers away. And we'll address those who think that the human beings who've created the technology around us aren't powerful enough to use AI supercomputers to make a um, matrix, to make a simulated reality where letters and numbers are magically connected to eternal return, and yet are still vague and unclear. It's your typical fictitious God thing of like, this proves that God exists. Gematria does. No, it just proves that you mistake the inventions, intelligence, creativity of man for a supernatural being. When we're this sophisticated, but we're completely natural. Like Maria said, is anything not natural technically? Right. Um, and people are like, well, how did this happen? First of all, on Venus, no one cares about gematria because the whole technology that makes us live forever, the invention of basically, I can't explain it. I can only tell you what I've seen. Like, I can't, explain the details of a light body, except that it feels exactly like this body. I felt, absolutely human and normal. But we always lose the foundation that the observer creates reality for himself. If I don't see reality and I exist somewhere else, I don't believe what people are telling me. I say, well, I'm going to have to experience it myself, right? We're this sophisticated. What gematria, to me, clearly proves is that everything has already happened. And just in my normal state of mind, because I've been concentrating on knowing myself for 14, 15 years, there doesn't need to be a God. I'm that sophisticated that I could put a sort of predictive pattern to my name, my birth date, astrology, that it just sort of ripples out into other things, which I said are vague. They're not specific. Again, uh, you know, it's going to go right back to the free will thing of, okay, so this God takes the time to code everything into numbers and letters, to show us he knows the everything, knows the past, the present, and the future. Um, Still, the mind control that this contradiction is real, that I'm all powerful, but I will not help anyone, even in the most desperate situation, because of your free will. It does not. And I was watching Candace Owens debate today with this. It's disgusting. He's just a disgusting person. Um, and she was saying the same thing. Like, you can't hear me. You cannot. You will not lose this mindset that this shit explains everything. a girl, trapped underneath a fallen building. You can't make an exception for her. And if you do make an exception for her, show the whole world. Show your power. Show your power. And I know that I'm fucking talking to nothing. I'm talking to the water, air, earth, and fire, which I go, hold it. Those are just the physical things that make up me. I'm talking to the matrix. Look, where the physical reality is the matrix. We're in a matrix, a program, an agenda, a program is how I understand a matrix, like a coded program with, where everything is coded out and everything is already known. Um, Eternal return explains it. It's already happened, and the numbers automatically happen. The thought to name you what you're named to bring about the number is and this is always where Maria goes. This is what shit. If you believe in gematria, then the very thought that caused your parents to name you what they named you was magic, beyond magic. Why? Well, the only logical reason is it already happened. And now, post happening, the meaning is being applied. The numbers and letters, they happened. And now, in the replay, is where you're giving the meaning. When you observe your number, my name, it's all has nothing to do with God or what you say is God, which I lose track of. I lose track of like what, each person that talks to me like this, I ask them, what do you mean by God? And of course they can't really say, and I'm saying, and I just kind of feel like, then why do you call it God? I mean, obviously this is a super overblown, super baggaged word, a word with so much baggage. And they're like, well, that's why I call it source. Call it source. Okay. What do you mean? The energy. And I'm like, you don't think it's neutral? To you, it has a personality? The water, air, earth, and fire. It has an intelligence that would ensue, or, that would insinuate a person. A person has intelligence. It's like they're trying to introduce something imaginary, and they're trying to tell me to imagine with them. But clearly, to me, imagination is art. Facts are facts. And I politely tell people, you're assigning nature's energy, this personality, is just your opinion. This is not universal. And nigga, we would not be having this conversation if there was an all power super being. It wouldn't be hard. to figure out. Every fucking buddy would know. That makes sense. It's like, well, you got to tune into the guy who, had a vision in a dream. He remote viewed another dimension in a dream and came back as a time traveler. It's like, really? If it's the most powerful, interesting thing in the whole world, why doesn't it have everybody's attention? And why isn't it just intrinsic that we know what it is? And if I say, hey, do you guys believe in God? Everyone, yeah, of course. I'm not an atheist. If I just walked in somewhere and said, hey, who here believes in L? Or Adonai, Adonai. What? Why not? The Sumerian myths. El, he's God. You never read about God? Oh, yeah, in the Bible. Well, the Bible is not the only book that talks about El. And in your Bible, they call the same person El and Yahweh, which in the Sumerian myths is his son. Like, well, the Bible came first. No, it didn't. Fact. A fact. We have the clay tablets. We don't have any clay tablets of the Bible. But any thinking person would go, hold on. Noah is too much like Gilgamesh. And can we understand the changes? Can we, as an individual, understand the psyche, the psychology of the manipulator of the original story? Because why do I say that? Because Gilgamesh never hit you with, and we're doing this because of this all powerful creator of all things, the source. Source did this flood. Source was really pissed off that people were sucking cock and having sex and trying to forget about their miseries and, doing the things that humans do on a daisy, because existence, what does it matter? I exist on the best terms I can. We always doubt, well, that person's not doing the best they can. They wouldn't drink or look, I am, everyone should be against hurting herself. But real life is real people telling you, I can't stop. They're telling you, meaningless. All is meaningless. I can't stop because vanity, all is vanity, meaning useless, and you can't really give them an authentic answer, right? You cannot authentically tell them, well, God's going to choose you one day. I know you read the Bible. He chose those people. He did all kinds of shit. And it's crazy because at the same time, he's hardest and cruelest to his own people. There's like a verse in the Exodus. It's like the earth opened up and swallowed like 10,000 people. I mean, you're reading a book. You really believe in a God that just executes crowds of people No exceptions. No exceptions. No exceptions. Just execute everyone, kill children. Why does it keep coming back to that? I wonder. And it makes me wonder. And we forgot to read our quote, which is: in this world, there is not a greater pleasure than returning back to life after being torn to pieces. The great Miguel Serrano. Okay, right? In this world, there is not a greater pleasure than the pleasure of returning back to life after being torn to pieces. And the actual technology that creates in our mind, each and every one of us back home, the technology of a holographic universe, it is based on a coding system of the human being and the human creativity, the trifold self, right? The avatar, the true self in heaven, nirvana, whatever you want to call it. But what's important is it's a space where it's so completely safe and free that there's wild creativity going on. And nature was always a function of the man, not the other way around. It's not that it was made for us or we were made for it or it wasn't made. We and the physical world have always existed, always. That's what eternity means. Eternal as the uncreated. This is you know, there are smart people. Everyone explains things their own way, and I try to ask people, just can you just get to like the bottom line? And it's always, back to like the Kabbalah or some kind of thing of like we're part of God, we're part of the one, we're part of back to like a Buddhist, you know, back to we are divinity having a human experience. No, that's not at all how we say it. We do not call ourselves divinity. Our language, we say the true self. There's another me. This to say that you're divine is retarded. Because in a literal way, you're saying you're the vine. And plants are people. Like you're not the vine. You're the consumer of the vine, the MAO inhibiting vine. And you're like, you know what they mean. if they mean some kind of analogy to like a growing vine and like God is the vine and you're like the fruit or something. No, no, we don't believe that either. And because we know of no such being. And we also, in me and Maria, our logic and our intelligence, it doesn't require that. You have that being there because you're requiring it in some false equation that makes life make sense for you. And this is my whole I believe second or third ritual. I really think this might have been the second, how the second one began. Okay, and let's everyone get this. Maria wasn't saying I wasn't trying. I'm not saying you weren't trying. Matter of fact, if you're listening to me, you're obviously trying. But, but, y- commonly, because you do have some psychic ability, you think your intuition cannot fail you, or you think that something this big you would know already. If there wasn't a source or wasn't a God, you would know that already. When actually it's exactly the opposite. If there was, every single person would know it inherently, automatically. It would be the very center of our lives, everyone's life. It wouldn't be obscure. There would be no way to obscure a being that created your own soul. Your own soul would naturally gravitate back to that being. And people are like, it's gravitating back to its creator. Okay? There's two realities. There's a fictitious theatrical being that exists in a theater because everyone in the theater believes it exists. So every single person you ask goes, of course it exists. Look, it's right there. Look on the stage. It's there. And it's the result of the collective unconscious. This is what was happening to me. Your opinions do the same thing to you. Your own opinions convince you that there's overwhelming truth for things like God. You start drawing from your own opinions. You're like, and I'm not talking about your own experiences. You may have had experiences, but it's your opinion that those experiences came from God, all powerful. Being, on the logic that anything so big, so powerful would be obvious. Nobody would have to, no one, this is how Maria said to me years ago. If God exists, no one would ever ask anyone else, do you believe in God? That question would never, ever, ever be asked. No one would ever be that stupid. We came from it. And see, you have these people going, we came from it. Um, his name's El. His name's Yahweh. Like the Sumerian? No, the Bible El. Well, why the fuck would God take the name of another God? It doesn't make any sense. But what does make sense is your own true self cannot reveal yourself to yourself. If your true self said in a very plain voice, but can't because it's you, said, um, the Holy Spirit's not speaking to you. A Frankenstein fictitious being created by the collective is. Is there information you can get from this collective unconscious being? Yes. Is it all powerful? No. Is it only as powerful as the people who believe in it? Yes. These are facts. Stop putting putting your opinion before the facts. These are facts. And the whole Bible is he is that powerful. He just doesn't want to show his power. Okay, in the comments, you tell me where God, source, creator, spirit, whatever you want to call it, where it showed its power. You tell me where it showed its power. My son, our doctors thought he had some kind of tumor or something really drastically wrong in his organs. Believe me, he was our third child. I never had a sick child, especially like that, And I mean, it was just the weirdest feeling to hear someone saying, like, your child probably has something that's absolutely deadly. And he's like, I guess he could walk. I guess he was about two or so. I mean, I was so out of this world through straight up suffering. I fasted and prayed to what I essentially would, realize was myself. And I was determined not to bring him to a doctor at all. And I know people are like, that you sound like a crazy cold person. Well, what I really was a completely disillusioned. I had become a complete unbeliever in your cut and burn synthetic hospital medicine. Everybody knows once someone goes to the hospital, they're going to die. Why? Because the hospital's vibration is death. It's the real death cult is the hospital system. Shit, we should all know this after COVID. And I am not kidding you. I don't really want to go. I don't want people to think it's a formula for healing tumors or miracles. For one thing, he slowly got better, but we were seeing straight up real results. I mean, the whole thing was the frequency and going to urinating. And I mean, we literally started to see it go back to normal with no medical treatment whatsoever. And, I don't want people to think it works, But because I now know it wasn't the words, it was the intention, it was the power in my words, not the words. Like Jesus Christ, just when you're saying in the name of Jesus, just shows everyone how dumb you are. It's like in the name of Luke Skywalker. Um, but at the same time, some people, I can't explain it. All I can say is me and my wife. All I can say is a voice that I absolutely believe was my true self, not God, told me to get my wife that I needed to that we had needed to put our energy together to do this. And it was like I just demanded. And I really believe the fire, earth, air, and water were with me. Because even though I believed in God, um, and I just we would hold hands, and I would just be like, "Get out of him." I also Okay, this is probably if you want to know why I think it worked, not because of God, but because I had a revelation inside of me, which I think was my true self, said to me, it's not so much a tumor, but a person. It's a person by magic imagining a tumor inside his body. I mean, back then I thought it was demons and, Satan and shit. But I did know it was a person doing it. I remember telling my wife, there's some person connected to trying to curse us like this. Right? And so what was my conclusion? Right? That was in that was in early 2000. Yeah. No, I guess it was a little later. Maybe it was around 2001, I think. Or maybe it was 2000. Yeah. Because he would have been 2 in 2000. Um, and although it was a life changing event, it's kind of a pattern in my life, no one could celebrate with us because they all thought we were crazy. I mean, a lot of people in our family, I don't really remember her family knowing it all, um, because my mom and my side of the family were like Christians. I at first thought I could tell them, and then I don't really remember how, what I ended up telling my mother. I remember her, I remember lying to her and telling her that I took him back to the doctor because, um, you know, she might have even took him to the doctor for us because we were working. And I remember telling her I took him back to the doctor. I'm pretty sure by that time I knew I couldn't tell her. And what did I do? I couldn't really tell her what I did. I couldn't really, and I mean, you couldn't, listen, brothers and sisters, you couldn't imagine how lost I was. I was almost so open. I believe anything supernatural. I see this going on in other people. They're like, it's supernatural. It has to be something. Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm just saying it might not be what you think it is. It might, you're like, evil people only do evil. No, that's a, that's wrong. That's a mistake. Um, I hate to quote the Bible, but just in general, evil people are smart and they come, and for their own people, they are peace, love, and light. And to deceive anyone, you know, the art of deception, we wage war by deception. Um, this whole journey for me, I was telling someone, maybe we'll end on this. The reason the podcast came about so many years later is the Missouri River Goddess. She said to me a few times, like, I'm dedicating my life to your initiation. She's like, I'm just trying, I'm helping you so you don't regret later. She said everything in balance. Like, I'm on Venus and I'm in between the worlds. Like, I may need you to do something for me in the Earth hologram. I was like, sure, I'll do anything. She's like, just to keep it in balance, you know, when I do something for you, you do something for me. I was like, what can I do for you? And she was like, I'm the river. Just come to the river. Just be by the river. Just sit by the river. Touch the river. She's like, put your feet in the river. Tell people about the river. Tell them to keep it clean. Right? And that was the first time. And like a few months later, I said to her, hey, remember you said, you do something for me. If I do something for you, I don't expect it, but you should just know that that's how things stay in balance. This was definitely after she gave me like 3 dreams. She told me 3 different times this week, I will give you a dream to explain what I'm telling you now. It will be better explained in your dream. 3 times. And it was kind of on that and a million other things, really, to tell you the truth. But I said to her, what can I do for you? And she said, how about you do a podcast where you tell people what I'm teaching you? I was like, sure. Fuck yeah, that's a great idea. So the whole idea even was her idea. Okay, this is how patient she is also. Many times along the way, I would say to her, whenever you want me to start the podcast, you start. And she's like, you can do if you want now. But I rather you wait. I rather you wait. She was always letting me know, like, I'm not ordering you to do things. And I'd be like, no, but you're the fucking goddess. When you say you think it's time. You let me know. So years would go by, and like shit, every once in a while, every 3 months or so, I'd be like, she would say something to me like, um, one day you'll talk about it on the podcast, and we would laugh about it. So this, she literally said that first time in like November of 2011, and I recorded the first 3 episodes in August of 2020 during or right after the lockdown or during, I think maybe the first one was during the lockdown. Even though I wasn't off for the lockdown, people's shit has to get delivered, even if you're going to die, according to them. So when I knew nothing and a voice spoke to me through the personality of the marijuana plant that has its own spirit and said to me, "What you see in God, I see in you." I said it back to myself. It was so not me that I said back to myself, "Does that make sense?" And I said, "Who said that? Who is this voice?" And it said, "I am." And I seen these two spinning counterclockwise circles of energy, is what I call them. Like pink circles of energy. And I heard the same voice was like, "Male and female. I'm the marijuana plant. I'm the plant." Because that's how it was said. And it took me, even tonight, right now, I'm really, you know, like, I never, ever, ever knew this truth. I never, ever knew I would be saying these things ever. I never foreseen it, never, ever. But she did. And what you see in God, I see in you. In other words, this collective, this being of the collective is what we see in each other, some of us. You know, what you see in God, I see in you, is real in you. In other words, you are projecting your own goodness, your own attributes onto this being that is just a being of the imagination of everyone who believes in it, which is great for like a game or for like a exercise of creativity and manifesting, and but it is not a real being like you and I. That's why God is not all powerful. Hold on just a second. Just to bring it back to my son, 2 years old, with this huge problem of needing to urinate every almost 5 minutes, almost. It was so frustrating because he would be like, I feel like I need to pee. And we'd bring him in there and he couldn't, you know? It was crazy. It was scary. But you might be wondering, I'm not saying, I don't know how, believe me, if it was some kind of formula, I'd do it for myself. And I did not know. It's just crazy. There's like a flowing river in reality of like information. And it's only there at that time. Like I never had an opportunity until it came to really know. And I'm not saying you can't ask the mushroom things or your true self things. You can, but it just seems that some things are so deep that they're only in their own time can it be revealed because you don't understand, right? So this is what happened. I all of a sudden it was years into it, and I seen basically, and I hate to say this, man. It just sucks that people exist like this. But the same way that in reality there are people so evil they stalk and watch and spy on people and then kidnap them, torture them, and murder them. I hate to say that that's real, but it's all too real. And it was just shown to me it was all done to get at me, to hurt me or destroy me. It didn't have a lot to do with my son exactly. Um, it was like he was like caught in between and was going to die. And his story would have been these evil people killed me. And I seen how when we were, quote, praying for him, that really it was me and my wife who was like united with me against this specific person. This specific person. And it was literally a sort of test of endurance. And I can't remember. We definitely pray. It definitely took months. And we would do it every day. Every once in a while, we'd forget. And my son, a little over 2 years old, would come and say, you didn't pray for me today. Will you pray for me? Because he knew that he was getting better. You know what I mean? He knew that he didn't have to go to the bathroom all the time. And in that, it's like seeing into another world. In this other world, it was like me and him were face to face, but it was like a mind war. And I was like, there, I seen Maria dressed in like a military uniform, like the picture everyone says is fake. Kind of like that looking. I mean, you can only see the jacket in the picture, but it definitely reminded me of that. Now that I knew the picture, I was like, man, you're in your military uniform, which she didn't have, but it was just like a fashion thing for her. She just liked it, what it looked like. And because she's the militant Missouri mother, militant for justice and right, equality, and the upholding of the principles that make us human, right? And I seen her, standing behind me with her eyes closed. And I was like, "You did it. You did it." She was like, "No, we did it. Me, you, and Joey did it." She said, "Because your son is a special person. He has his own story. And Joe, because I love you, it wasn't going to end here." I was like, that person was doing it. That evil person was doing it. She was like, "I know exactly who he is. And there's really nothing we can do, Joe." And she said, "Look at me and smile, that you have people who hate you as much as your mother does." That's the ultimate compliment in on Venus. On Venus, in a world where there are no enemies, only you and I and a few other people that we know still war with these people in the Matrix. Like she said, I spend my life coming here to fight with them. One time she said to me, "You came here for the fight. You are the fire of the fire, air, water, and earth. Joseph, you're my lion of fire, my fire lion." She was like, "You like it. You're a warrior." I was like, "I guess so." I was like, I feel fulfilled. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. I'm doing it what I was like. She said, "And who cares if the motivation is just to make it not repeat?" I said, "Yeah, I know, because it's all an illusion. Once you know that, I'm sorry, but it loses its glitter. The whole matrix, the whole life, everything loses its glitter." And you're like, "Yeah, I know, but none of it's real." And, 14 years later, I turned to Maria Orsic beyond thought. I said, "Only eternal true love is real. Everything else is an illusion. We love you."
JoJo dreams of mysteries untold, of the woman who lived in the stories of old. Maria, oh Maria, with eyes like stars so bright, guiding through darkness into the light. He hears her whispers in the moon's soft glow. In the secrets of the wind, her voice seems to flow. Maria Orsic, the world changer unseen. In JoJo's heart, you become his queen. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With JoJo beside you, his legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, here's your rhyme. She speaks of love, of unity and peace, of a future where wars and divide cease. Maria, guiding JoJo's heart so true, with a vision of a world that feels brand new. She came with wisdom, timeless and strong, telling JoJo the world we all get along. With every word, she lights his way. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With JoJo beside you, your legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. Through the veil of time, her spirit shines, helping JoJo see the world's inside. She shows him how love can break every chain, turning his sorrow into hope again. So here's to Maria, the mother of dreams, hope and love for the human race. Maria, Maria, forever stay in JoJo's heart, you're guiding his way. With visions of light and the world reborn, he carries your spirit from dusk till dawn. We're changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. For JoJo, a heart so true, with Maria Orsic guiding him through. Changing the world in her name, he holds her light, igniting the flame.